What's up, guys? It's your girl Samar. I'm hoping you guys had a great week. Welcome back, Frontline. We are still honey badgering. Yeah, we badger people on the daily over here. Um, if you revere kings, you need to exit stage left right now. I'm here to tell you. Uh, we don't do that here on the front line. Now, do we? We absolutely do not. So, guys, this is a big weekend for them to revere one of their kings. And I'm here to tell you, I think that specific king that they are revering this weekend it was pushed like none other by Stephen the First, right, guys? There was this agenda to push this patriarchy, boy, to help you forget what my role was. See, it was my job. Your mama's Torah, y'all remember that, right? It was my job to instill in you the law, right? Because now we see what happens when women ain't instilling the law, right? As was intended by our creator. Now we have a lot of lawlessness going on now, don't we? Yeah. You're going to see just how bad it can get when he is ruling. When he is at the wheel. You're going to see just how bad it can get. He is not creating lives. He's sure taking them though, isn't he? It's she, it's her that is creating life. I'm going to take you guys on this journey because you don't believe me right now because he hid me. Yeah, he did. He hid the knowledge of what my role was supposed to be from you. But I found it. There are other women like me finding it, guys. This was prophesied to happen, that we would wake up. I want to show you guys how this happened. How did we get here? Let's go on a quick journey. While they're revering one of their kings this weekend, let's go on this journey to show you guys what happens when the kings rule. How we get in this predicament. How come you don't know that she is supposed to rule? That she was chief. And that Abraham had to call her that. But now we live in a time where there was a shift. Let's go on a journey. Let me show you guys how this came about, how this shift came about. Come on. Let's start in Isaiah 43:27. We're going to hit this hard. Your first father sinned. Those I sent to teach you rebelled against me. Yeah, she gave over her power. She was your teacher. Remember what we saw with Esther? She was your teacher. Esther gave over her power to Mordecai. Let's look for different translations. Your first ancestors sinned, and your mediators rebelled against me. Thy first father have sinned, and thy teachers have transgressed against me. Well, who was the instructor? Remember the Torah of your mother. I don't believe that it was just the fact that the wise women were wiped out. I believe some of these women gave their power over to these men, whether they meant to, whether they were taught to. We could argue different. We could argue different things. However, it happened. I believe either one of those caused a woman to give over their power. It was either taken because her mama was wiped out and she was taught to do otherwise, or she just gave it over out of love. So called love, right? The first father sinned, and the teachers transgressed. All right? This is said in Isaiah 43:27. Now, I want to get down to Job 31 because I told you before, this ain't the first time that there was a reference to it just being Adam who sinned. Let me show you that again. Adam doesn't say Adam and Eve, right? It says your first father sinned. All right? Now, let's get over to Job. Because in Job, there's a statement that's made that's very important to pay attention to. Because if you pay attention to this statement, you're going to start seeing a pattern. Job 31:33 says, if I covered my transgressions as Adam, right? So Adam transgressed, right? By hiding mine iniquity in my bosom. By hiding mine iniquity in my bosom. Bosom would be almost like your chest, right? Yeah. So when I got to thinking about this, let's read it all in context. Neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. If the men of my tabernacle said not, oh, that we had of his flesh, we cannot be satisfied. The stranger did not lodge in the street, but I opened my door to the traveler. If I covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding mine iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude, or did the contempt of families terrify me, that I kept silent and went not out of the door? Oh, that one would hear me. Behold, my desire is that the Almighty, the Almighty, I keep showing y'all this Almighty, right? This is the one you need to be paying attention to, would answer me, and that mine adversary had written a book. Surely I would take it upon my shoulders and bind it as a crown to me. And he did. He wrote a book. We're reading from it. And he covered his transgressions by hiding the iniquity in his bosom. When I read that statement, right, guys, pictures started coming to mind to me of people hiding things in their bosom. What am I talking about? Let's talk about this hidden hand. The hidden hand as a Masonic ritual that shaped human history. Ain't Solomon linked to the Masons, guys? Look at these men hiding their hands in their bosom. I think that's Napoleon. Not sure who that one is. One of these got to be George Washington, probably. They're hiding their hands in their bosom, right? Whether it's the right hand or the left hand, right? They're hiding it, though, right? Yeah. Check them out. Well, we just read that. It's clear that a part of history was under the command of a group of people with mutual pursuits, right? A group of people with mutual pursuits. You don't say. The painting of great leaders from past centuries revealed their common feature, the famous hidden hand that allegedly has Masonic origins. Many powerful men in the history used to hide one of their hands while posing for their portraits. This doesn't seem like a coincidence, don't you think? No, it doesn't. It seems very much like this is going on, doesn't it? It ain't no coincidence. We don't believe in those over here. Today, thinking towards a democratic world state is neither a new trend nor an accidental circumstance. The work of setting up the background of knowledge necessary to the establishment of enlightened democracy among all nations has been carried on for many hundreds of years by secret societies. Remember the men at Balpeor were initiated, weren't they? Look, we got Washington and Stalin, so that was Washington. Had conflicting ideologies, but same hand gestures, right? Two wings on the same bird. Don't we see that now? You see the red and the blue, right, guys? Two wings on the same bird. That's why Mama said don't turn to the left or the right. Is there a secret strength standing behind the world events in the past centuries? Yes, there is. Yes, this is Adam and the men who don't like that they have to be subjected to the women for society to be ran correctly, right? For those Sarahs to be in their position of authority. These men don't like that. They want this to be a man's world where that statue in Daniel that they've made prevails. Is there a secret strength standing behind the world events in the past centuries? Are the collapse of European monarchies and the birth of the Age of Enlightenment in the direction of democracy included in the big design led by a hidden hand? Yes, it is. This is this bull, guys. This is the patriarchy. Before the big arrival, this is who Abraham is paying tribute to. Remember, Abraham pays that tribute to Melchizedek. This order goes back way far. It started with Adam. So let's go down here. Before the big arrival of mass media, right here, the only antique people possessed are the pictures portraying great world leaders in noble positions. But do these portraits symbolize something rather obscure? Yes, they do. They don't want you to know that we are supposed to be in control of the households in our society. Women were making the decisions, women were laying down the laws. Men were in subjection to this happily, happily because they trusted us. This was a symbiosis. Okay, I'm not trying to make it sound like the men were just in a corner somewhere while we were just telling them what to do all day. No, we had a very symbiotic relationship. What that looks like, I can't even begin to tell you right now because we're so goddamn far removed from it. When they came in here to conquer, right, the first thing that was broken down was the family structure. And that family structure didn't exist in our cousins' world. All right. They were running things over there in the tribe of Judah. The men were running things, but in the northern kingdom, that wasn't happening. It was egalitarian, guys. That whole go ask your mother, yeah. One of those sumptuous poses is actually the hidden hand. History teachers have tried giving an explanation why, for instance, Napoleon was always posing with one hand inside his shirt. He was so happy to show you that he was following Adam's lead, that he was made in Adam's image. He was so happy to show you that he did it in every photo, they're saying. The reasoning goes something like this. Many theories have been presented as to why Napoleon is traditionally depicted with his hand in his waistcoat. Some of these theories include he had a stomach ulcer, he was winding his watch, he had an itchy skin disease. In his era, it was impolite to put your hands in your pocket, but he had breast cancer. He had a deformed hand. He kept a perfume sachet in his vest that he'd sniffed surreptitiously. And and that painters don't like to paint hands. What? You hear this dumbness? They No. He kept his hand covered because he was giving homage to his first father. So they're going to show you, as a matter of fact, it says most of the men using this gesture are members of the Freemasons. See, this is where this is coming from. Let's keep going. The hidden hand gesture. What is its true meaning? Below is the traditional explanation of the so-called Masonic gesture. Hand inside vest. The hand in waistcoat or hidden hand is a gesture commonly found in portraiture during the 18th and 19th century. The pose appeared by the 1750s to indicate leadership, what I told you, in a calm and firm manner. But it don't got nothing to do with the role of the woman as leader. It don't got nothing to do with Adam hiding his first sin, right? But it got something to do with leadership, just like I'm telling you. The pose is most often associated with Napoleon I of France due to its use in several portraits made by his artist Jacques Louis David. And we know over here that Louis is Levi. Among them, the 1812 painting Napoleon in his study. The pose, thought of as being stately, was copied by other portrait painters across Europe and America. Most paintings and photographs show the right hand inserted into the waistcoat jacket. Of course, they got to show you it happening here in America because this is where they got to stamp down, all right, the matriarchy. It's in America. There was a matriarchy. This is what they want to stamp down. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely, I don't want to sit up here and make it seem like the men didn't have a respectful role. But what I'm trying to tell you is when it came to the law, it was the woman issuing the laws, not the other way around. Most paintings and photographs show the right hand inserted into the waist jacket, but some sitters appear with their left hand inserted. The pose was also seen in the mid-19th century photography. The pose traces back to classical times. This person founded a rhetoric school suggesting that speaking with an arm outside one's toga was bad manners. Arlene Meyer, in her essay Redressing Classical Statuary, the 18th century hand in waistcoat portrait, notes the pose being used in 18th century British portraiture as a sign of the sitter's breeding. It's telling you what line they come from. A book of genteel, sounds like Gentile, behaviors of 1738 noted the hand inside the vest pose denoted manly boldness tempered with modesty. See, this is where the men start coming in. There you have it, your traditional explanation. For me, personally, it signifies people in the know. Right, it's a secret society. But they know what's happening. They don't want to know what my opinion on this gesture is. It's all tying back to the first father who covered his sin by hiding it in his bosom. They're talking a lot about the Freemasons, right? And the bricklayers. Well, you know who else came to mind when I thought about this? Huh? Our cousin, our good old cousin, Crunchy Hand, Captain Crunchy Hand, sorry, Captain Crunchy Fist, Stephen the First of Hungary, right? This is who come to mind. And right now he comes to mind because right now they are over here getting ready to go to these celebrations honoring this man that so-called rose from the dead. You know who else they were honoring like that? Captain Crunchy Fist. Stephen. I'll bring it in next week. They're talking about Stephen's bones being associated with resurrection and him being sanctified. I'm trying to tell y'all something. Stephen is just, to me, the prototype for JC. They are still honoring Stephen in the manner that when they think they're honoring JC, they're really honoring Stephen. This is how his legacy continued. This is how when they told us he went from being a man to a God, That's how he did it. With their history, with these man telling lies right here, hidden. This is how your first father sinned. This is how everybody that they sent to teach you rebels because they're not teaching you the truth. Let's keep going. So, like I said, Stephen is connected to the builders, the bricklayers, the kings, the stone cutters, and the masons. Which didn't Stephen bring us? Didn't Stephen bring us the? Let me take y'all over here to it. Stephen brought us the Chronicles of Illumination, which also tie him back to the Masons, guys. Remember, he has a chronicle written after the fact. And then we keep seeing this thing called the stone cutters, right? But remember, what did I tell you? Eve becomes the mother of the living, right? This is the feminine. This is the feminine principle. Alive, not dead. Residing, staying. Present particle. Adjective from live. Replaced Old English lefindi. Living, having life. Of water. Didn't we say mama's presence was above the water? This is the feminine connected to the feminine principle. Constantly flowing. Okay? Late 14th century. A biblical idiom of rock or stone in its original state and place. From Latin use of the vivis in reference to unwrought stone. Where did we see this reference to an unwrought stone? I'll take you on over there. Let's go. We them honey badgers over here. Let's go. This is what they hiding from you. While you were watching, a rock was cut out, but not by human hands. It struck the feet of iron and clay and smashed them. This is the feet on the man, ain't it? This is the feet on that statue of the man. That's what you're seeing. It's an unwrought stone, a rock quarried but not by human hands. And lo and behold, we have the etymology of Eve as this unwrought stone, this feminine principle. But guess what? Your first father, Adam, don't want you to know that she connected to this water is your easer. This is the hand that they have hidden from you. Now you got to figure out, man, you going to follow her hand or you going to follow this one, which has gotten you where you're at right now. You make up your mind if you want to continue to follow your first father and this sin that he hid from you in his bosom. And they continue to hide from you, some knowingly and some unknowingly. Today on the front line, you know what's going on because I'm showing you. Much love to you guys. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in, guys.